What's going on, guys? NealGuides here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to explain to you in detail and show you how to use the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation and how it converts into a 4-4-2 flat when you're defending. Obviously, as we know, the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation, a very direct, centrally offensive formation, really good for tiki-taka and direct football. But the different thing about this formation is the way I've done it is that when you're defending, you're actually defending in a 4-4-2. Now the reason why is, we all know with the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation, the main weakness is defensively. We're seeing 4-2-3-1s, 4-4-2s becoming more prominent this year. A lot of people are abusing the wing areas. With the 4-1-2-1-2, because it's quite a central formation, you're exploited on the wings. But the way this formation is laid out is you're not changing the formation, you're still using the 4-1-2-1-2, nothing's being changed. It's that when you're defending, there's, I suppose you can say, specific requirements that change it to a 4-4-2. When you're attacking, obviously you overload the central side. It's a typical 4-1-2-1-2 second variation when you're attacking. It's a really deceptive formation as well because your opponent doesn't know what you're playing. Because when you're defending your 4-4-2, when you're attacking your 4-1-2-1-2, intricate runs are coming from deep, similar to the 3-5-2, will help you lose your markers and encourage you to play more patiently and allow you to be more unpredictable. As I said, this is attacking formation. It's an attacking formation if, for example, you're losing or you're seeking for a goal, you're trying to snatch that late last-minute winner. This is not a formation I would say to close the game out. This is just purely a balanced but more of an attacking formation. As usual, I'll explain everything in detail. We'll first get into the tactics first, and then I'll explain to you how the instructions work and how it defends in a 4-4-2. So this is the team that I'm using. This is a standard team. This is the regular 10k team that I've shown you before. I've tested it with this team and it does work. In the game, we're just going to use one formation. We're going to use the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation. I'm going to go over the tactics and instructions now. As usual, I'm going to explain everything incrementally so you understand. Just do bear in mind that, remember, this is taking into account you're defending in a 4-4-2 and remember you're attacking in a 4-1-2-1-2. So just do bear that in mind, and that's why I'll probably say with this formation, try to go with my exact tactics. I'll explain what you can change. But defensive style, go with balanced, in particular because remember, when using drop back, your players need time to come back and defend. So especially if you're converting into a 4-4-2, your players need time to come back and defend. So there's no point using drop back. And the fact it's an attacking formation, you want to win the ball back high up the pitch. You don't want to be on drop back. There's no point. It's an attacking formation, as I mentioned earlier. Now with the width, I've gone with a width of 6. Now remember, the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation is naturally a very narrow formation. Now you have to remember, it converts into a 4-4-2 when you're defending. So the reason I'm going with a width of 6 is just that when you're transitioning from attack to defense, you want your players to be a bit more wider on the defensive side, just so while you're kind of transitioning to a defensive position and while your players are coming back to create the 4-4-2, they're positioned in such a way where kind of a balance between not being too open on the wings and not being too open on the center. I will leave the width, defensive width, on 6. I've tested this, leave this on 6. I would not recommend changing this. Now depth, I've gone with a depth of 4. This you can change. The only thing I would say is, remember, this is an attacking formation. You don't want your depth to be too low. There's two reasons. One, obviously, it's going to be hard for you to transition to attack, and generally speaking, you want to win the ball back high up the pitch as possible. The only thing I would say to you is the depth. Do not go beyond 7. 7 I think is way too high. I see it sometimes. I think unless you're a very experienced player, even I don't go to all 7. I think the sweet spot between here is 5 or 4. You can choose either. It doesn't really matter. 5 or 4 is probably the sweet spot with this formation, especially about how the way the players move and the deep runs, etc., etc. Now with the offensive style, I would recommend long ball. As usual, if you're gold 1 and above, you can leave this on balance because you probably know how to trigger players in behind using L1 or LB. If not, leave this on long ball. Now, why long ball? Similar to the 3-5-2, you want players to be darting forward. It's a very good centrally offensive formation. You want players to be running directly down the middle. You want your strikers to get in behind. But also remember, on a 4-1-2-1-2, if we just take it, for example, the left centre mid and the right centre mid, just for this example, remember in a 4-1-2-1-2, you can't assign these players to have to get in behind instruction. So what long ball does, long ball acts as basically a get in behind option for the left centre mid and right centre mid. So you can argue these players are going to start making darting runs forward. And it is very particular because remember, you're converting from a 4-4-2 into a 4-1-2-1-2 when you're attacking. So it's important to have long ball so your players make runs from deep. But I'll get onto that in a second. But that's why I've gone with long ball. But as I said, if you want to change the balance, obviously feel free to do so. Now with the width, I've gone with a balanced width. Just generally speaking, the 4-1-2. Remember, when you're attacking, it's a 4-1-2-1-2. This doesn't change. It's nothing special. When you're attacking, it's a regular 4-1-2-1-2. What you're seeing is what you're getting, basically. The only thing I left this on balance is I think naturally the 4-1-2-1-2 has, I suppose you can say, the proportions of your strikers not being too far wide and not too close and congested. Because it's already a narrow formation, naturally when you're attacking, you don't need to adjust the width, I would say, too much, especially on an offensive style. I did experiment a bit, but I think especially for this variation, I'll probably stick with just a default width of 5. Now, players in the box, I wouldn't really adjust this. As I said, the reason why is, in particular, remember I said when you're attacking, you're on a 4-1-2-1-2, but let's just say, for example, you have players to get into the box. When you're defending, these guys need to kind of come back and convert into a 4-4-2, so you don't want them to be too far forward, so do bear that in mind. I would say leave this on 4. When you do go into a crossing situation, if you do want a specific player, for example, your left centre mid or your right centre mid to go forward or get into the box, you can always adjust them manually on the instructions. But for players in the box, for this actual tactic, I would legit go for 4. I wouldn't touch this, in my opinion. Now, corners and free kicks, as usual, whatever you deem is appropriate. Obviously, the higher you go, the more you're going to be exploited. It doesn't really matter. It's just down to personal preference. Now, bear in mind, this formation has been tested for months. I've given this out from ranges between Gold 3 and Elite 1. I've taken all their feedback into account. So these tactics should work for the average player. So if you're between Gold 3 and Elite 1, you took these tactics and you got into a game, you should be able to do just fine. Now, moving over to the instructions, and I'm going to explain to you how it converts into a 4-4-2. So let's start with first, how does the formation work? How does it become a 4-1-2-1-2 attacking, but then a 4-4-2 flat defensively? Now just imagine, for example, you're attacking, you're in your opponent's half. You're attacking in a 4-1-2-1-2, what you see is what you get right now. When you're defending, what happens is your players are arranged in such a way where it becomes a 4-4-2. In particular, in this example, your cam becomes the right mid. So your cam basically goes to a right mid position. And then either your left centre mid or right centre mid, you can choose this yourself, becomes the other winger. So what happens in this case, I have my left centre mid. So my left centre mid then becomes the left mid. So what happens is your cam becomes the right mid, your left centre mid becomes the left mid when you're defending. And then I suppose you can say your CDM basically stays where he is. And then your other, in this case the right centre mid, then becomes the other centre mid, if that makes sense. So that's how it becomes the 4-4-2 when you're defending. So your CDM and your centre mid become the two centre midfield players. Your cam becomes the right mid and the left centre mid becomes the left mid. You can decide which player goes where when you want. The only thing you can't change is, for example, the cam has to become the winger for it to work efficiently, and the CDM has to become the centre mid. The rest you can change. I'll get onto that in a second. So it's important you understand how it kind of converts into a 4-4-2. So the instructions I've gone with now, for one, the strikers I have them on stay forward, on stay central. The reason why I just want this guy to be up forward, this guy I want to be the counter-attack player. Don't forget, after the patch, you can only have 4 midfielders and 4 defenders in midfield at one time. So putting this guy on comeback in defense is not really going to help. So that's why I got one on stay forward. And the other striker I have on getting behind, stay central and balanced. The reason why he's on balanced is because for the defensive support is because I kind of want this guy just to be just behind. The only when you're defending, I just want this guy to be just behind your striker. That's the only reason. I have them both on stay central, so they're both in the middle of the pitch. It's important you want them to be in the middle of the pitch. It's obviously very important, especially when you convert from a 4-4-2, kind of avoids any confusion. The only difference is I have for the right striker, or you can choose whichever one in this instance, I have them on getting behind. The reason why is this person will be just a little bit behind the left striker, and this guy will be kind of running from a deeper position, running past for like a quick 1-2. So that's why I think it's very important. So I want them on get it behind and want them on balance. The reason why is this guy, if you're playing against someone that's parking the bus, you don't want 2 strikers getting in behind. You want kind of one staying put on balanced, depending on what AI is doing, and one getting in behind. Now the cam. As I said, this cam is always going to be a left mid or right mid. So when you have this person on comeback on defense, he's either going to go to left mid or right mid position. This is completely up to you. I'll explain in a second. But just remember, this player is going to be coming back on defense. So wherever this player is, he's going to be running from either left mid position or right mid position and then going into a cam position when you're attacking. So do bear that in mind. I have this person on comeback on defense. As I said, if you want to adjust someone to get into the box like your cam, you can do that here instead of adjusting it in tactics. But make sure this person is on comeback and defense. It's extremely important. Otherwise, the 4-4-2, I suppose you can say, system won't work perfectly. Now, for the left centre mid and the right centre mid, now, as I said, if you want this to kind of convert into a 4-4-2, one of these players has to be your left mid or right mid. The most important thing here is cover wing. Now, for example, in this situation, because I have this player on cover wing, what that means is this person is going to be the left midfield in this instance, and therefore the other striker is going to be a right mid. If I happen to then, for example, change, for example, this person to cover wing and this person to cover center, what's going to happen is my cam in this instance is going to be the left mid, and then my right centre mid, who is now on cover the wing, is going to be the right mid. So you need to understand how you change it impacts who will go where. So the way I've done it is I made my cam the right mid, and the reason why he's forced to the right hand side is because my left centre mid is on cover wing. So as I said, by default, as I explained earlier, this person is going to go to left mid, then my cam is going to occupy the right mid position. Then it comes to the two centre mids. Now I have a traditional CDM, I have cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking, and cover centre. That's the instructions I have for it. I would recommend those. Now your other centre mid, as I said, this person is going to be on cover centre. So this is what makes the other centre mid. So long story short, this person's either going to occupy as I said, either going to occupy the left mid or right mid position, but that is purely dependent on which left centre mid or right centre mid you have on cover wing. So basically whoever you put on cover centre is going to stay in the middle, and whoever you're going to put on cover wing is going to cover the wing. That's how it makes the 4-4-2 when you're defending. So the CDM is always going to be in a centre position, and your cam is always going to be either left mid or right mid. So basically the two players you've got to choose between is your left centre mid and right centre mid. That's how it converts into a 4-4-2 defensively. Now for both the left centre mid and right centre mid, if you want this to be a more attacking formation, you can put these players on get forward. So what this means is, for example, you now have your centre mid in this instance kind of running forward from when you kind of regain possession, the ball is going to be running forward from deep. And the same thing with your left mid in this example is going to be kind of getting forward. Especially with the long ball tactic, it kind of makes a kind of darting runs down the wing. Now when you transition from defense to attack, because this position, the cam position, is kind of a right mid, he's going to be running from the right hand side and kind of making the last minute intricate run from deep. So it kind of emulates how the 3-5-2 made the runs from deep, so it does allow the unpredictable element of the formation. Now going over to the left back and right back, I put them both on stay back while attacking. I have put them however on inverted for the sole reason is I want them to be a bit more centralized. I think especially when you're going up against someone, you kind of want them to be on the wide side, but providing, I suppose you can say, narrow support. On overlap, they're kind of too far wide, and they're kind of out of the game, especially with a 4-1-2-1-2. So I've gone with inverted. Remember, similar to my last video, these guys are always going to be stay back while attacking. It's only if you push them forward using their deeper tactics, fullbacks join the attack or attacking fullbacks, they're going to go forward. If not, they're always going to be stay back while you're attacking. As usual, the two centre backs on stay back while attacking, and the goalkeeper is on balanced. Now if you're at this part of the video, that means you're really interested in what kind of plays you want to use. I'm going to go over these as quick as I can because I really want to make this video as long as I try to make it as short as possible, but obviously it's very hard. With the strike, have them on stay forward and stay central. It doesn't really matter what player you use here. Someone like Neymar, someone like Ben Yedder, this is going to be the person that's going to kind of request the ball to his feet. That's what I'd recommend, someone who's good on the ball. Especially when you're going up against someone that's parking the bus, it's really important to have a player that's unbalanced. So that way you don't have kind of players running forward too much and you don't have an option available for the short pass. So that's why I go with someone like that. This guy's going to be staying up the entire time. Same with this guy in the 4-4-2, they're both going to be staying forward, so it doesn't really matter. I kind of went with both of them on stay central. However, this person, I have them on balanced. For the sole reason is because I want this person just to be just a bit behind. So basically, because my left striker is on stay forward, I want my other striker just a bit behind when you're kind of building up. It's just a bit better attackingly. It's a bit better when you're building up the attack. I have him, however, on getting behind. The reason why is he's going to be just behind your left striker, so you can kind of get him behind, kind of make those runs from deep, just kind of like for the quick 1-2, especially with the 4-1-2-1-2. I think it's very intricate to do that, and it kind of gives like a distraction run and kind of pushes the line away. You can obviously switch these players around, so if you want, for example, this person being getting behind. Someone like Mbappe here will be really good. Someone like Rashford on the cheaper side will be very good here. Those type of fast players are really good here. One thing I would say, if you play like Messi here who's got low stamina, you're probably going to have to use them on stay forward. That's one thing I would say. So if you've got someone on low stamina, it's fine. You can leave them both on stay forward. But I would obviously recommend balance. Now obviously there's no point in having these guys on comeback and offense, because remember, when you're playing a 4-4-2 defensively, you can only have 4 midfielders and 4 defenders at one time. So having these guys on comeback on offense is not really going to help that much. It just kind of messes up the 4-4-2 system. Now the cam, the most important thing you need to realize and remember is this guy's going to be running into either a left mid and right mid position depending on whatever you decide. What I would say is someone like Mbappe is kind of what I use in examples here. Just try to get someone fast who's got good stamina. That's the main thing. Someone who's fast because they're going to be running back and forth from like a left mid right mid position when you're defending in a 4-4-2 to the cam role. They're going to be making intricate runs from deep as well with the long ball tactic as well. So if you want to find someone, it's important to find someone who's got good pace and has got good stamina. And by the way, when I mean good pace, just kind of to reduce all the ambiguity, I mean someone that's got 85 pace and above. Now the left centre mid and the right centre mid, as I previously mentioned, you can decide who goes where. The main thing is whoever you want to be on the centre in a 4-4-2, the central position has to be on cover centre. Whoever you want to go wide has to be on cover wing. Now because I chose in this example for my left centre mid to cover the wing, so he's going to go left mid, that means my cam will go right mid. The most important thing for this player, again, similar to the cam, is pace. You kind of want someone who's got good pace and good stamina because again, they're going to be running back and forward. The only thing I would say is because I suppose you're going to say they're going to go to a left mid position. Now you probably could get away with someone like Modric with shadow. Maybe you can get away with him, but I'd probably ideally go with someone who's fast, you know, someone who's got good pace, someone who's basically like a, you know, screen Firmino with a hunter would probably be decent. Any one of those players. I would say the most important thing is you can use a typical player that you play in a 4-1-2-1-2 second variation wherever you play in this centre mid position. Just know they have to be at least decently fast and have decent stamina. For them it's a bit easier because they're kind of playing a bit more reserved, so they're not going to be as forward as the cam, so it doesn't really matter. Now the right centre mid, in this case he's going to be on, remember as I said, he's on cover centre, so he's going to play, I suppose you can say, he's going to play the right centre mid in this instance. What's important for him is nothing. That's the truth. Anyone like De Jong, someone like Allen, someone like Kante, someone like De Bruyne, someone like Gullit, anyone that's going to normally plays alongside a defensive CDM, anyone in this position will be good. Any centre mid will be good. It doesn't really matter. As I said, this player is going to be kind of sitting in a 4-4-2 defensively, and when you're attacking, it's just going to go to a normal 4-1-2-1-2. If you do have this player on get forward, is what I would say. Maybe go with somewhat higher pace. Also, on that note, if you are struggling defensively, I would say, for example, put this person on stay back while attacking. So that way, when you're defending, you always have two players always put in the midfield. And then that gives time for your left centre mid and your cam to kind of come back and create the 4-4-2. So do bear that in mind. If you do have odd work rates, for example, for the left centre mid, because with the cam, he's always come back on defence. He's always going to come back on defence no matter what. Because the left centre mid, there's no really come back on defence option. There's only stay back while attacking. You may find that this player on balance doesn't really come back and defend. So if, for example, they have bad work rates like low, high or medium, low, you can put them on stay back while attacking, but then of course you do lose the attacking threat. Someone like high is obviously ideal in this instance. Someone like Modric would be perfect, or Firmino, for example. Now with a CDM, it's a typical CDM. Remember, this is going to be playing alongside your right centre mid, for example, in this case. So someone like Kante, someone like Allen, whoever you're using a normal CDM position, it doesn't really matter. They're always going to be stay back while attacking. So you just kind of want a regular CDM. On a cheaper scale, someone like Ndidi is completely perfect here. Two centre backs, stay back while attacking, nothing unusual there. The left back and the right back, now personally, I'll put these on stay back while attacking, and I would put them on inverted. You can leave them on balance, but I'd recommend put them on stay back while attacking and inverted. Number one, for the sole reason, as I said, you can they kind of provide a central approach, but it's always good to push these players manually using fullbacks during their attack or attacking fullbacks and deep air tactics. It's better to do that than have them on balance. That way you have more control. Goalkeeper is on the regular balance. Now, as I said, just because people always ask this, am I starting a different formation? I start it in a 4-3-3 second variation, but in game I go to custom tactics and I create a new tactic called attacking, and I make it the 4-1-2-1-2. Just for those guys that are new, in case you don't know what I'm talking about. I have another video on this, so obviously check that out on my channel. But that's pretty much it, guys. As usual, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/NealGuides. Links in the description, and obviously what you can see on the screen. I obviously started my FIFA School Patreon, so if you want to kind of support me there, and you get access to FIFA School, and I explain everything there as well. Thank you very much for watching. If you do have any other questions, of course, do let me know in the comment section down below. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.